Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with the Spain News Update. We'll have a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the Spanish press and international press about Spain over the last couple of days or so. And we'll also take a look at some of the comments that have been left on videos recently. Now straight into the news and all the talk about an amnesty for Catalan independence politicians that tried to separate from Spain back in 2017 is apparently spooking investors. And as we can read here, Spain's amnesty for separatists sparks investor backlash. Spain's government is pushing ahead with a controversial amnesty law for Catalan separatists, despite accusations that the move threatens the country's image as an investment destination. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, who is courting business leaders in Davos on Wednesday, secured another term in office in November by striking a deal to pardon separatist politicians involved in an illegal independence referendum held in Catalonia in 2017. The agreement has been met with fierce criticism from parts of the country's business elite, which has labelled the amnesty as a cynical ploy that undermines the rule of law and creates an unnerving sense of uncertainty that can scare away investors. So business leaders in Spain worried that this new amnesty, the amnesty for Catalonian separatist politicians, will scare off investors. And why are some business people here in Spain worried? Well, every time that the political party Junts, the Catalan political party Junts, sits down with the government to negotiate things surrounding this amnesty, they get nervous, and it's easy to see why, especially when we read articles like this one, because businessmen are revolting against Junts' proposal to fine companies that left Catalonia because of the process. The abysmal distance of recent years between Catalan politics and the business world has once again become evident this Tuesday with the publicised intention of Junts per Catalunya to sanction companies that left for other communities during the height of the pro-independence process and have not returned. Carles Puigdemont's party wanted the decrees that will be voted on today in Congress to include measures to encourage the return of these companies and also possible sanctions for those that do not wish to do so. So there we go, that's why business people are nervous, because the Junts per se party wants the central government to sanction or fine companies that left Catalonia during that independence process. Companies like CaixaBank, for example, that packed up and went to the Valencian community might get fined if Junts gets their way. So a ridiculous suggestion there, in my opinion, from the Junts party that companies that are not loyal to Catalonia, that don't come back to Catalonia, will be fined. But luckily, as we saw, the PSOE party did not cave in to these demands. But anyway, moving on with the news, and as we saw at the beginning of the broadcast today, the Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, currently in Switzerland. What's he doing there, you ask? Well, he has arrived in Davos with a clear objective to defend the strength of the Spanish economy. Pedro Sanchez has arrived in the Swiss city of Davos. The 54th edition of the World Economic Forum is being held there. Today, the president's agenda is full, a total of 8 hours of meetings and encounters with some of the businessmen and main political leaders attending the event, some 2,800 in total. Bill Gates of Microsoft and the CEO of Siemens, Christian Bruch, among others, will meet with the president of the government. He will also meet with international media and wants to convey a message of strength for the Spanish economy. So there we go, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez in Davos trying to defend the strength of the Spanish economy. So a bit contradicting the news today, the first article that we saw saying that business people in Spain worried that investors will be spooked or scared off from investing in Spain. And that piece of news there saying that Pedro Sanchez in Switzerland with the main objective to defend the strength of the Spanish economy. So good luck with that, Mr. Sanchez. It's going to be difficult for him to convince people that Spain is a good country to invest in, especially with the next article that we're going to look at. Because as we can read here, Spain at the bottom of the execution of European structural funds. Spain is the EU country that is the slowest spender of EU structural fund money. So far, it has spent 63% of the little more than 75 billion that corresponds to the previous EU budget period. That is, it has spent 47.315 billion according to figures from the annual report for 2022 that the European Commission has released this week and contains data up to September 2023. This is by far the lowest implementation rate of the EU 27. Italy, the next least efficient country, has reached 70%. By contrast, Portugal has already already done all its homework and invested all the money in its plans for these EU spending items. Spanish administrations will have to speed up the pace of spending and justification in order to arrive on time and be able to disperse what has been allocated during this year, the last year of implementation of this structural funds program. So Spain, unfortunately, again at the bottom when it comes to rankings in the European Union, this time when it comes to the spending of those structural funds, only 63% spent so far. Portugal's done its homework, as we saw there, managed to spend all of the money, but Italy and Spain at the bottom of that list. And why is that? Well, one of the reasons could be that Spain is an absolute mess when it comes to the 17 autonomous community governments and the central governments seeing eye to eye and where to spend this money. That could be one of the reasons, but again, just my opinion. If you have an idea of why this money hasn't been spent, the comment section is the place for you to leave that comment. I'd love to hear it. And the final piece of news we'll look at today, and some good news as far as investment in Spain is concerned, because the company Ryanair has said that it's going to invest $5 billion in Spain over the next few years. And as we can read here, Ryanair will invest $5 billion in Spain until 2030 to grow by 40%. Ryanair wants to become more of a leader in Spain and plans to increase its current 55 million passengers to 77 million in the next 7 years, a 40% increase. To achieve this, it wants airport taxes to be frozen. These are the plans that the CEO of the Irish airline, Michael O'Leary, has presented today to the President of the government, Pedro Sanchez, in the meeting that both have held in La Moncloa Palace. The meeting was also attended by the Minister of Transport, Oscar Puente, who did not touch on the Spanish government's policy on short-haul flights. In total, Ryanair plans to spend €5 billion in Spain during this decade, basically on the introduction of 33 new aircraft. So there we go, and as I said, some positive news as far as investment is concerned in Spain. The company Ryanair and its CEO Michael O'Leary not spooked by what's going on currently with the new amnesty law, and planning to invest €5 billion in Spain, purchasing 33 new aircraft. Now let's have a look at some of the comments that have been left on videos recently. One here from Jed: "It always amazes me when immigrants from the UK to Spain whinge about how the Spanish rules, laws and banks impact on them. If they don't like it, there's nothing stopping them from going home. I'm sure if it was the other way around, they'd be telling the Spanish to go home. Every country is different. You don't like it? Tough." Yeah, Jed, thanks for the comment, but there's nothing wrong with having a whinge every now and again about the things that you mentioned there. Spanish laws, Spanish rules, Spanish banks, every now and again I have a whinge about those things. And sometimes, let's be honest, you have to get things off your chest. And I don't think it's as simple to say if you don't like it, go back to your country of origin, because we live in this country, we pay taxes in this country, we pay rates in this country, and we pay fees in this country. Therefore, we have a right to complain every now and again. Again, just my opinion. One here from Keith: "The UK has always been hostile towards EU visitors. Overzealous border force staff and an inflexible Home Office has been my experience, Stu." Yeah, Keith, thanks for the comment and thanks for your opinions on this matter. We've been speaking about it quite a lot recently because of a woman that was refused entry into the UK over the Christmas period because she didn't have all of her documents in order. She decided to come back to Spain to see her sister, who had recently given birth, and wasn't allowed back into the UK despite her husband and her dog residing there. And when it comes to the strict nature of the officers at UK border controls, I tend to agree with you there. I've had some problems over the years trying to get into the UK. I remember around 10 years ago, I went to the UK to play a game of cricket in a place called Stony Stratford and had trouble getting in through Luton Airport. They didn't want to let me in. I was put over the coals by an officer for around 10 minutes, asking me a series of questions, how much money I had, where I was staying, but eventually she let me in. And while all this was going on with me, my friends from European countries were passing through without any issues at all. However, I went back to the UK a few years ago now after Brexit, and I must say that it was a lot easier for Aussies to get through than it was for EU citizens. But in any case, if you think that the UK is a hard place to get into, you should try Australia. One here from Larry: "The issue with banks in Spain for UK pound deposits into euro-denominated accounts is that there is a fee for the currency conversion conversion. The exact same applies to euro deposits into UK pound-denominated accounts in UK banks. I have several Spanish bank accounts and there are no charges for euro deposits, regardless of origin, but if the funds are in UK pounds, there are fees galore to pay. Yeah, Larry, thanks for the comment. And in response to a comment that we saw the other day from somebody who is not happy with the fees that he is being charged by Spanish banks every time he sends a transfer over. I believe the person lives in the United Kingdom, has a house here in Spain, and obviously has to pay bills and things like that through a Spanish bank account. But as Larry points out, it's quite normal because there are fees for currency conversion. So is there a way to get around this fee paying? I don't know, but if you know, let me know in the comment section. One here from RG. Hi Stuart, I would be interested in your thoughts as to why workers in Spain can't get higher paying jobs. What are the underlying reasons for this? Are young people being babysat in universities when they should consider a trade? Has the EU really helped Spain with subsidies, or have those subsidies just hindered Spain from addressing fundamental reasons for economic stagnation? Good questions. I hope this will stimulate discussion. I would like to see the Spanish people do better, cut the bureaucracy, etc. Spain has a lot to offer in terms of culture, low crime architecture, but you need to pay the bills for sure. Best, Rob. Yeah, Rob, thanks for the comment, and you're right, you have posed some fantastic questions. When it comes to low salaries here in Spain, I don't know the exact reason as to why they are so low and continue to be so low. I remember when the euro first started here, a lot of people were optimistic that salaries were going to increase, get on par with other European countries, but unfortunately in many sectors that has not been the case. Why? Well, I found this on the internet, and as we can read, the precariousness of employment for a large part of the population in the face of the business world is an endemic historical evil in Spain. The insecurity created by the fear of unemployment makes workers accept low wages and working conditions that would be unthinkable in other developed countries. So seems like a fairly good reason put forward by that website. In fact, I tend to agree with what they say there. Spain's economy for the last 15 years or so, ever since that crisis back in 2008, hasn't been the best. In fact, I'd say it has been absolutely shit. People are desperate to find a good job in a country that has historically had high unemployment. Employers know this, and that's one of the reasons why they pay low salaries, as we saw there. But these are all problems that are too big for any government here in Spain, or at least they've been too big for all of the governments that I've seen in my time here. So I'm not going to hold my breath thinking that things are going to change anytime soon. But again, just my opinion. And are a lot of young people being babysat at university when they should be getting a trade and getting out there and starting their professions? Absolutely, that's another one of the issues. One here from Hubba Hubba. As the EU dictatorship is going to use the ETIAS visa system from 2025, then it's Spain that will suffer the most as more UK tourists visit the Spanish resorts than the French and Germans together. Yeah, Hubba Hubba, thanks for the comment, but will the new visa system that the EU is planning to bring in 2025, I think it was going to come in this year, 2024, but they've put it back another year. Do you think it will have an effect on the amount of tourists coming into the European Union and the amount of people visiting Spain? I don't know. There are still plenty of places around the world that require you to get a visa. I think the United States requires people to get a visa. I know Australia requires people to get a visa. I recently went to Turkey and I had to get a visa. In fact, it cost me $65 to get a visa to step foot in that country. And from what I've read, the European visa is only going to cost around €7. So compared to the Turkish visa that I had to fork out for, it's pretty cheap. And by the way, people over 70 won't have to pay the ETIAS visa, I don't think. And the final one here from Lynn. I've read the time zone anomaly is due to Franco. He wanted to be in the same time zone as Germany and Italy during World War II, and no government since has seen reason to change back. True or not? Yeah, Lynn, thanks for the comment, and thanks to all of the other people that left a comment on this topic. And judging by the comments, it was indeed Mr. Franco who changed the time here in Spain back in the day to be more in line with countries like Germany, because as we know, Mr. Franco was friends with the German leader back in the day and also the Italian leader back in the day. But unlike that German leader and unlike that Italian leader, Mr. Franco didn't die in the 1940s. He went on to lead the country for many decades more. And of course, over that time of Mr. Franco's rule, it was very difficult to question anything, and people got used to the new time zone. Move forward to 2024, and there's still no talk of changing it back. In fact, they're planning to do the opposite and remain on summertime permanently here in Spain. But I'm not sure where that plan currently sits with the current government's agenda, so we'll wait and see if it happens or not. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.